a couple of weeks ago, we had the launching of the University of the Future Roundtable discussion. And the next episode, ika nga, is supposed to be led by FICS, and this is why we're here. Now, during the launching, there were a couple of items that were brought up, a couple of not really issues, no? One of which is the framing of the future, no? And the other is how does this University of the Future concept impact on our disciplinal dimension as a university. So this is what the Faculty of Information and Communication Studies will focus on this afternoon. Now, I would like to think that I speak for the faculty with a capital F. That means the college. I speak for this college that that would want to wrap its mind around information and communication study. But of course, I don't speak for the individual faculty members. And this is the reason why we have Diego and Joyce to do the articulation of our appreciation of this discipline, you know, within the context of the University of the Future. Ano nga ba yung University of the Future? We would like to, well, my role, I imagine, would be to deconstruct it. No, not a rigorous or expanded deconstruction, but an attempt at that. And then we will try to reframe it from the perspective of our discipline, information and communication studies. So I hope that would serve as an introduction. As in past talks, I have a tendency to tell stories, no, of the past. And this is what I'm going to do also towards the end of the talk, which is not going to take more than 20 minutes, I would imagine. The University of the Future, nung pinag-usapan natin ito last time, ang issues on how we frame the future. And ano nga ba yung university? So we take the future first. How should, if we define the University of the Future from the temporal perspective, ano yung future na ito? Well, my take on the matter is this, and this will not be new to many of our doctoral students on how we would frame this in particular. You see, for me, all of us, everything here in the present right now, which means us, the institutions that we are in, everything is in a state of moving, or let's call it, I've used this word a number of times, we are evolving, we are in a state of evolution. Towards where, what are we evolving to? Well, going back to the theories on evolution, we evolve towards better and better states, right? Until we reach a point which we may call perfection, if there is such a thing. So our university included, the university evolves as time goes on. It learns from its mistakes. It adjusts to its environment. It evolves into bigger and bigger, greater and greater things. And yun na nga, parang pinaka-goal, ano? We evolve towards perfection. So the future to me is a time where we are better than we are right now, okay? So it could be any point in time. Well, that could also be in the past if we retrogress, you know? But given this perspective of evolution or evolving towards perfection, then that future could be at any point in time, ahead of us, of course, where the university comes into a better state of being. What is a better? How do we define this state of betterment, of moving towards perfection? Well, this would need some more deconstruction, you know, from focusing on the future. Let's focus on the term university. Di ba? University. Now, I'm going to tell you my first story for this afternoon. Nung 2019 po, from the third quarter onwards, there were a group of us faculty members. Many of you are included there. No, we were chaired by Dean Prime of the Faculty of Management and Development Studies. We were in constant brainstorm of a proposed Institute of Sustainability Studies that we would want to establish in the Open University. It was nicknamed GLIS, GL being the initials of Gina Lopez. This Gina Lopez Institute of Sustainability Studies was supposedly partially sponsored by ABS-CBN Foundation, but we know what happened to ABS-CBN, and that I imagine doused cold water into the whole project. No? But there was this brainstorming sessions that were really very intellectually stimulating. No? And one of the topics that we had to wrestle with was that what is common between a person like Gina Lopez and the UP Open University? And I could only think of one value, one ideology that both she and us share, and it happens to be the root word of university, university, universe, universal, and this is what we arrived at, this ideology called universalism. This all-encompassing respect for the whole, the entire universe, so to speak. This is where the term, or well, anyway, it shares the root word of university. We arrived at certain values associated, or certain attributes associated with this school of thought called universalism. The first one is transcendence. And transcendence mean, if you look it up, it's beyond the normal or the physical. We go beyond what is normal, we go beyond what is physical, we go up, so to speak. We transcend what is obvious, we transcend what is empirical, quote unquote. Transcendence. We transcend time and space, the limitations of time and space. For instance, that could be an application of the term transcendence. Being universal means you transcend. Being in a university means you transcend certain limits. Universalism includes transcendence. Another attribute or quality is agility, the ability to reposition oneself effectively, and the natural fitness of an entity to reposition. It could be malleability, You could assume forms or shapes that is dictated by your environment and you do not break. That is agility. Okay? So whether there's a pandemic or not, whether there's a catastrophe or not, a university should be agile also. Uh, and a universal man is agile. It can fit any ideological perspective or any environment given to it, so to speak. And the most important attribute that we identified under this ideology called universalism is openness. And well, ganito tayo, no? We are the open university. So I would like to dwell on this some more. Openness as an attribute. What we're trying to do is to deconstruct the word university. No? Si Gigi has another way of doing this, Dr. Alfonso. Meron siyang, she goes back to the Latin word universitas, which means community. No? But it's an open community, which assumes the attributes, I believe, that I mentioned a while back. Okay. Okay. So if we're open to what as a university, we should be open to the delivery system. I think this is what we are known for. Kasi nag-online tayo, nag-e-learning tayo, nag-distance tayo, no? So this is, I think, what we are known for. But we know, as a matter of fact, that this is not the only thing that we represent. No? We are an open university not only because we are into e-learning or online learning, or that our delivery system is different from brick and mortar institutions. No? Hindi lang po delivery. Also, we are open in terms of pedagogies. We are not limited to the instructional model of education where the instructor is the sage on the stage. Sabi nga nila, no? Hindi tayo yung gano'n eh. Tayo parang mas importante pa nga yung learner sa atin eh, di ba? So we are open to these different types of pedagogies. We're not constrained to one. Also, hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na hanggang distance learning lang tayo. We are open to face-to-face instruction. We are open to synchronous sessions. We are open to other pedagogies. We are open in terms of curricula. Diba? Kaya nga yung mga curricular programs that we have are quite different. There is a distinct difference from the Bachelor of Arts in Multimedia Studies that we offer to the Multimedia Studies program of De La Salle. There's a big difference from the Doctor of Communication program that we offer to the PhD in Development Communication, which is offered in Los Baños, or the PhD in Mass Communication, which is offered in Diliman. There's a difference in the Master of Information Systems that we offer here to the Master of Information Technology that is offered in Los Baños. We are working towards openness in assessment. So we are experimenting on other forms of assessment. But last time, during our last session, we talked about disciplinarity. How do we consider disciplines at the UP Open University or in the University of the Future? Last year, when we did the conference in Baguio, Mari, ano yung tawag natin sa conference na yun? It's on the tip of my tongue, no?
Encodel.
Yeah, Encodel, right. Diego introduced the term pluridisciplinary. It's one level higher than transdisciplinary, which is one level higher than interdisciplinary, which is also one level higher than multidisciplinary. Yung mga multidisciplinary, we have faculty members representing different disciplines who work together. Kung interdisciplinary naman, they interact. They just don't have their own specific niches, no? They interact and let their disciplines influence other disciplines represented in the group. But when you say transdisciplinary, nawala na yung boundaries between the disciplines, right? Now, when you say pluridisciplinary, that's even a higher level, a higher state of integration. And maybe Diek could say something about that in a short while. No? Pero kung tayo, well, kung sa ano natin, when we talk of information and communication studies, I would say that it is even beyond that. We are a pan-discipline. Information and communication is a pan-discipline. This term, if I'm not mistaken, I mentioned this a couple of times in earlier talks. No? The most recent one was in February when we launched another Roundtable series, yung Futures Research series naman ni Bendy Lumanta. No? EMS, when we were in Taiwan, this was the paper that I presented, Information and Communication as a Pan-Discipline. Okay, so information and communication, one is a thing. Information is a thing. Communication is a process, right? That is how you would differentiate one from the other, although people sometimes use this interchangeably. Information is something out there. It is something that contributes to certainty. Actually, a bit of information is operationalized as one negative uncertainty. Okay? So that is information. I would not call it an object, but it's a thing. Communication, on the other hand, is a process. But these two is what, as I mentioned earlier, is what the faculty, our faculty, is trying to wrap our minds around. No, this is something that we would want to understand, what we would want to explain. This is something that we would want to unpack, to unwrap. No, most of our working hours, this is what we're doing. And even during our sleeping hours, maybe this is what we're dreaming about. And that is the future that our DCOM students will look forward to. Something like this. No? It is, for me, a pan-discipline. And as I said, this is my appreciation of it. And other faculty members in FICS, they have different views, of course. This is why we are having this roundtable, so that all these views are articulated on. And now, I'm going to continue with my storytelling, beginning with a more recent, ngayon, this year, and ending in 1976, when I first entered the graduate school for my master's degree in development communication. Okay, 2020, social distance is one of the most used or overused or abused terms in Diba. What I'm trying to do right now is to tell you stories on why I say communication, why I say information and communication is a pan-discipline. This is my proof. Okay, 2020, social distance. Do you know that the term social distancing does not come from epidemiology nor the health science? Sino ba yung mga doktor natin na nanonood dito? si Dr. Wen. Or Dr. Wen, where did the term social distance come from? Well, I will tell you very definitively that social distance and social distancing came from the communication discipline. I could cite Edward Hall, 1972, when he introduced the different distances that carries with it a meaning. Edward Hall is an architect by training, but he's a communication scientist by profession. And he established that branch of communication science called proxemics, or communicating via distance. And he said that there are basically four types of distance. The first type is intimate distance. That is operationalized as 6 inches and less uh, distance between one person to another. That's an intimate distance. No? The second type of distance is personal distance. That's operationalized as 1 or 6 inches to 3 feet. Sabi ni Edward Hall, ang pinapapasok mo lang doon sa 6 inches na intimate distance are those who you are intimate with, your son, your daughter, your wife, your lover, no, your very, very close friend. No? Tapos, there's such a thing as personal distance, which is from 6 inches to 3 feet. No? Yun yung personal distance. Ngayon, pag papasok yung, kunyari, the persons who could enter your personal distance, they would infringe upon your intimate distance and you feel uncomfortable. Di ba? May mga ganun yun eh. This is how you communicate through proximity or distance. Now, the third type of distance is social distance. And how is it operationalized? It's 3 feet and parang 1 meter. No? 1 meter yung ngayon dito sa epidemiology and beyond. That social distance. So it's social distancing. The fourth type is yung public distance. It would be parang 6 feet and beyond. If you don't know anyone, if you don't know a person, and he comes closer to you, closer than 6 feet, then you feel uncomfortable. But of course, there are occasions when these things are not really ano tawag dito, observed. Kunyari, nasa MRT ka, intimate lahat kayo doon. No? Intimate, kahit na hindi mo kilala. Pero you don't make eye contact. Saan ka natin yan? Okay, so proxemics, social distance, it comes from communication science. Ano pa? Uy, ang dami. No? 2019. Kasi medyo geriatric na po tayo ngayon. And we from 2019 onwards, I've been looking at the theory and the science nowadays. They've gone so ang dami ng developments regarding this. Do you know that you could actually reverse your age? Look at me, for instance. No, I'm not the 80-year-old that I actually am. No. Not kidding. There is a scientist. He's an Australian scientist working at Harvard University. His name is David Sinclair. And his lab is able to reverse the age of lab mice, of their laboratory rats. Even the age of the eyes, yung gano'n, nare-revive yung pagtingin. And the theory of aging, which he introduced, is called the information theory of aging. How does this work? Well, we go back to genes. Genes at saka epigenetic material. Kaya daw nag-age ang isang organism is that hindi na nababasa yung ng epigenetic mechanism, o tama ba yun, Dr. Wen? Yung nasa genes mo, yung the information that is in your genes are no longer read by the epigenome. And so yung intervention siya dito, how do you read the information that is contained in your DNA accurately, so that when your cells reproduce, then you could hindi walang distortion. Kaya, nakukontra nga yung aging. This is medical science. This is biology. In comes information theory. 2018, I believe it was during the recognition program of our graduates in 2018 of FICS, when I quoted the physicist Sir John Archibald Wheeler, who said that, well, the stuff that reality is made of is actually information. The stuff that reality is made of is information. Kaya yung famous quotation na galing sa kanya, no? Wheeler was the American physicist who introduced the term black hole. No? Ganun. Kaya yung quotation sa kanya, it is bit. Yung it meaning any object. It is actually bits of information. Any object is made up of information. The stuff that the universe is made of is information that then generates this object. Okay, so that's physics. Again, information is there. Ito naman, 1998, that's 20 years, that's a 20-year jump backwards. When Professor Ivy Ongkiko and I were writing the modules, which eventually became the textbook for titled Introduction to Development Communication, we were in our final chapter, the 1998 modules pa itong mga ito. And this is where we introduced this declaration that development is a communication process. The process of development is actually a communication process. Now it's difficult to articulate on that at this very moment, but trust us, we have every reason to say this. So whether you look at development as economic, nandun na naman ang communication at saka information. 1990, eto I wonder if the chancellor is here already. But you know what? Ito yung kwento ko, no? My first PhD advisee was an Indonesian by the name of Marudin Sianturi, a researcher in Sumatra. And I supervised his dissertation in 1990, and I had to travel to his hometown in Sumatra, in Indonesia, to field supervise his work. Now, in northern Sumatra, there is a very, very large lake, larger than Laguna, di ba, no? And at the center of that lake is an island. And that island is actually a volcano. The island is called, the lake itself is called Lake Toba. The island is called Toba. No? And the crater of that volcano is also a small lake. Pareho ng Taal, but much bigger. No? This somehow, as I was in a foreign culture, I started some musings regarding, I started to muse about ethnocentrism and so on. And that was my first administered comprehensive examination to a PhD candidate. And the question I asked of him is, where is the center of an infinite universe? Could anybody answer that? Where is the center of an infinite universe? From 1990 hanggang ngayon, tinatanong ko po ito sa mga advices ko, sa compre, oral comprehensives na mga advices ko. Sa DCOM, wala tayong oral comprehensive exam eh. Ang pinag-didebatihan natin doon is actually the dissertation of the student. But you ask Chancellor Mel, I was part of her committee, I think in 1995 or 1996, tinanim ko rin sa kanya ito eh. All that time, from 1990 onwards, nobody could, well, of course, there were satisfactory answers. But what is the definitive answer? Is there a definitive answer for this question? No. It involves information and communication also. And maybe there are other times for us to discuss this. Okay, now 16 or no, 14 years earlier, nabanggit ko na to nung futures research session natin nung February of 2020. 1976 was when Richard Dawkins introduced the term meme, as the basic unit of culture. A meme is the basic unit of culture. And it is actually a meme, in somebody said, could transfer to another mind, and it has viral properties. No? Kaya dito rin ang galing yung term na viral sa sa yung mga memes ngayon sa social media. No? And I related this nung February to a virus, really. What is a virus? Well, it's a light. It's actually information encased in a protein and lipid sheet. It's information encased in a layer of protein and fat. And that's why it's not really a living thing. Many scientists do not consider virus as living things. And imagine, based on our experience in the past 10 months, how that information changed the world, right? How much misery it has caused. How much, economic costs cannot be measured also. This is information, di ba? Kaya nga ang pinakapunto natin, mga kabalin, mga katoto, information and communication, there's much more to it than meets the eye. And this is what we're trying to unravel here in the Faculty of Information and Communication Studies. It is a pan-discipline that covers every other discipline that I know, from physics to mathematics to biology to health, aging, epidemiology. Yun po, these are my stories that I hope would be the grist that could be milled by the talks that will follow. Okay. Later on, if you're still interested, I would like, once again, to declare to you the Information and Communication Manifesto that we've drafted in the past year. No? Sa concluding portion ng natin. Kaya ganun po, maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig at well, I'd be happy to hear your comments later. Thank you.